trucking, we like trucking, we like trucking and we like to truck. We like trucking, we like trucking, if you don't like trucking, tough luck.
Hey, welcome to Half the Battle. Well, like I said in my buzzer review, things are gonna be a bit more random from now on. With that in mind, why don't we take a look at another Dreadnok? And this time, we're looking at Ripper. The figure was released in 1985 with all original body parts. Like the other Dreadnoks of that year, he looks like a mean biker. And, unlike most figures from that year, he can only move his head sideways. I'm impressed with the level of detail here, especially for a figure from '85. The golden paint on his necklace is nicely done, and he even has painted rings on his fingers. He's also got a golden armband. Yeah, this guy had bling before it was cool. I do wish that they had used their attention to detail when it came to the gun molded on his leg. The holster is painted, but the gun is the same color as his jeans, which looks really out of place. Speaking of paint, while the gold paint is nice, it does rub off extremely easily, so watch out for that. I, of course, also have to mention the head sculpt. Now, when I was a kid, this was weird to me. He has a mohawk, but also a full set of hair. The rest of his hair doesn't even look shaved short. Since my go-to reference for mohawks back then was Mr. T, well, it just looks kinda silly. Well, T and that guy from Star Trek 4. His accessories are a great bunch. He's got a rifle with a bayonet that's supposed to be able to cut through metal. Sort of as a backup, I suppose, because his main weapon of destruction appears to be this thing. Yeah, they're jaws of life, but I believe we can all agree that in this guy's hands, we can comfortably rename them to jaws of death. They attach to his backpack with a plastic hose, a pack that looks like an engine to power the thing. As an aside, if you want to make a Ghostbusters figure using G.I. Joe parts, this thing makes a passable proton pack. Ripper only got one toy in the original line, so I'm gonna talk about a few others that came out later. His next figure didn't come out until 2002 in a Versus pack with Duke. Because Duke and Ripper have a long history of rivalry? Yeah, I mentioned this before, but one of the gimmicks in 2002 was that every character was put in a 2-pack with their supposed mortal enemy, no matter how little sense it made. His look was changed. Quite a bit, in fact. Yeah, this guy does not scream biker to me anymore. If anything, he looks like a truck driver, mostly because of the hat. He now also sports a bitchin' handlebar mustache. The only thing that's similar to his original look is the knife molded on his chest. Yeah, he really went for a complete makeover from badass biker to redneck trucker. Weird. The weirdest thing even is the yellow tape that he now has on his lower arms and legs. It really has no function other than to look unique. Sadly, this Ripper's accessories were just a generic weapon or two, depending on who gets what in the 2-pack. He doesn't get his bayoneted rifle, and worse, the Jaws of Death and backpack combo are gone too. But hey, you get an Uzi with a ridiculous stab on it to make vehicles go vroom. Yay? Very disappointing to see character-defining accessories gone. The last toy I'll talk about is from 2005, and it goes back to the familiar and, for Hasbro, budget-friendly practice of putting a new head on an old body sculpt. Unlike the 2002 version, this guy is a great homage and update to the original. It has a great and detailed paint job. Even his very small hand grenades on the chest are painted now. Also, the gun molded on his leg has a color to call its own. Finally! As far as the head goes, it's nice enough, but the mohawk is much more subdued now, to the point where his hairstyle looks more inspired by Grace Jones than Mr. T. The best news about this version concerns his accessories. His rifle and the iconic Jaws of Death are back. They are molded in black now, but they look fine that way. I only object on the grounds of nostalgia, and I feel they should have remained silver. Overall, as far as the toys go, while the original is nice enough, my favorite version has to be the 2005 one, since it's such a nice update. With the caveat that you should only give him his original silver accessories. The 2002 version is just weird and out of place. I don't know, maybe he went in at a witness protection program or something. So now we come to the character, and let's start with the file cards. As far as his first file card is concerned, well, I can really sum him up with one clip. No, really, he's from Tasmania, and the file card literally states he's the meanest Tasmanian devil of them all. You just know every kid who read this was gonna use him as the G.I. Joe version of Taz from that moment on, right? So they didn't even need to write anything else, really. He started his career early, and I mean really, really early, by being kicked out of nursery school for extorting candy from other kids. And he spent the rest of his youth in various correctional facilities until he finally joined up with the Dreadnoks. His modus operandi is to use cutting tools to crack safes and open gates. And I love that they used the term modus operandi on the file card. You're not just getting a toy, you're getting a Latin lesson. The second file card, the trucker one, explains his time at nursery school even further by saying he was kicked out for bribery and aggravated assault. The assaulting I get, but how the hell would bribery work? I'm gonna assume here that this is an error on the card, and they meant to say extortion, since that does fit better with the first file card. Oh, and every file card from the Versus 2 packs had a small blurb explaining why the characters featured in the set were mortal enemies. Ripper hates Duke because... And are you ready for this? He's well groomed. Yeah, you heard me. He hates Duke because Duke is well groomed. What the hell? Well, to be completely fair, it's also because he's brave and honest. Still, hating someone for their good personal hygiene is up there with hating the color orange. Lame and stupid. What? There's one bit of international trivia when it comes to Ripper's file card. You see, in France and parts of Belgium, his name wasn't Ripper. His name was Machete. Yeah, I thought I'd mention it because otherwise I might get comments about it. And now we can all imagine what it would be like if Danny Trejo played a Dreadnok in one of the G.I. Joe movies. As far as the comic goes, well, he was there. Yeah, he didn't really do much. Buzzer was really the breakout character as far as the original Dreadnoks in the comic were concerned. Ripper never did anything really noteworthy. Hell, the most interesting thing about his comic appearances was his inconsistent hairstyle. One appearance has him being bald with a thin mohawk. Another has him with a look based more closely on the toy, and in yet another appearance, he has just ordinary hair. Yeah, you can tell that a character doesn't really leave an impression on you when you spend most of your time discussing his hairstyle. And in the cartoon, well, he was just another one of the Dreadnoks, a stupid lackey of Zartan's. He didn't even have his Jaws of Death in the cartoon, using his bayonet to do all the damage instead. Not much to say about him there either, I'm afraid. So, that was Ripper. A few nice-looking toys, and a character that was sadly underused in other media. He deserved a little better. See you next week, everybody!
We like trucking, We like trucking, we like trucking, and we like to truck. We like trucking, we like trucking. If you don't like trucking, tough luck.